Back in 2005, September 14th, a movie was released to follow up as a sequel to the critically acclaimed success that was Final Fantasy VII. That movie was Final Fantasy VII Advent Children, directed by Tetsuya Nomura. It's pretty well known among a lot of Final Fantasy fans and just fans of just Final Fantasy VII in general. It is actually like well liked by a lot of fans, but from a critic standpoint, it's not that well received. So, me and Josue thought we'd watch it for ourselves and determine from our perspective if we thought this movie was good and right to Final Fantasy VII's original content. We are not basing this movie off of the remake because obviously the remake came out 15 years after this movie, so it wouldn't make sense for the movie to be based off the remake's contents. That being said, I'm going to start off by saying Advent Children is a terrible movie. This is a terrible, terrible movie. I legitimately want my hour and 40 minutes back, and I fell asleep, I think, probably 3 times during the movie because I just genuinely did not have any interest in what was going on.
Yeah, this is... Well, I can say this. Well, one, I didn't like the movie. I agree with you. I did not like the movie, and I was kind of checking the time every 10 minutes just to see how much time was left. It isn't the worst video game movie that we watched. If I had to compare this to, let's say, the Animal Crossing movie that we watched, I think I would rather watch this. But
no, actually,
but Animal Crossing is a better video game movie. That I'm gonna.
I'd rather watch Animal Crossing, to be quite honest.
No, I never want to watch a movie ever again in my life. I'm so good.
I can't. I see. That's how I feel about Advent Children. I never want to see this again.
That's the thing.
I'd rather see Animal Crossing again.
No, I'd rather not watch Advent Children either. But
yeah, but if I had to choose, I would definitely pick Animal Crossing.
Wow, I'd rather pick this. This was there was some saving grace to this movie for me, but overall though, this was not a good movie. I don't even know what to give it. If I had to we'll save the scores for later. But this was just not terrible. That great of a film. I wrote this in my notes, but it felt like what this movie was just a collection of fight scenes that.
Yeah.
Well, it was just one fight scene after the other, with no substance whatsoever. Just a ton of fan service thrown in. But it's just like I don't get. There's a lot of things that I do like about this movie, but that's what it felt like. It just felt like fight after fight after fight.
No, that's what it was. I mean, I think that's what the main purpose of the movie was. They just wanted to show their original characters in high definition, fighting and moving, because players who grew up with that game don't know these characters in that well of a definition. So they want to see them, really well made and detailed and all that stuff. And they want to see the world of Midgar in really good detail. But they didn't think to actually, further develop the plot. Which is why it pissed me off that this is supposed to be a sequel to Final Fantasy VII. If you want to make a sequel to something, you do realize you need to, further advance in the plot and make the story interesting. You're not supposed to make a sequel where you don't add on to the story, you just make it flashy. That makes no sense.
The thing is, though, Final Fantasy VII ended in a way that there really wasn't much room for a sequel.
No, it didn't need a sequel. It just absolutely did not need a sequel.
It doesn't need a sequel. And the thing is, and listen, you know, I love Tetsuya Nomura. You know I do. But I actually had no idea he was the director of the movie until the opening credits of the movie came up. And in my notes, I wrote, "Expect a bad story." I love Kingdom Hearts, you know I do, but there's always problems with the story. And as soon as I saw him be the director, I said, shit. There goes story thrown out the window, because I know he just came up with some BS for why Sephiroth comes back. Because obviously
I like to believe the original Advent Children plot, when they were cooking up the story, they all came up with really good ideas, and they were gonna further advance the story and really adapt and make the characters come to life. And Nomura was like, "No, I want Sephiroth back for 10 minutes," and he's gone.
Well, do you know the development process behind the movie? Because I think it's actually pretty interesting.
Behind the movie?
Yeah, behind the movie. So,
no.
Really quickly, the movie was first inspired based on how successful Kingdom Hearts Final Mix was. Because Final Mix had that CGI secret ending where it was who was it? Roxas and Riku fighting.
Uh-huh.
And based on that, that was the first CGI film that they were able to do in a video game that incorporated fighting to that degree. So they thought that's really cool. We can maybe do something with this, but it wasn't until Final Fantasy X2 became a humongous success, and two, for Square to merge with Enix. When they finally merged, they finally had the resources to push forward with an idea for a film, and they decided of all the projects, of all the IPs that they have, Final Fantasy VII might be the best IP to really do something and get.
Yeah, based on its success, I imagine they determined that was the best one to do.
Yeah, exactly. So after Final Fantasy X2 was released, Square Enix was made, and Final Fantasy VII Advent Children finally was given the green light. But the original script, catch this, the original script of the movie was only 20 minutes long.
What?
This was only supposed to be like a 20-minute long film. And it
was
was
like a really short film?
Like a really short film. It was supposed to be a really short film.
Huh.
But as you know, Tetsuya Nomura, him being the way that he is, he likes to keep adding things. And to be fair, the original script, there wasn't a lot of substance behind it. Not that there's a lot of substance behind this, but...
Yeah, I think I read somewhere that originally the premise was supposed to be... Because Nojima's the writer, and apparently the premise he came up with originally was it was just going to be Tifa, Cloud, and like a story about them and the kids of the slums. And that was it.
Well, what I'm reading...
Like a very small story.
What I'm reading here was that all it was going to be was, as according to the Final Fantasy Wiki, an unspecified woman giving a message to a child and asking her to deliver it to Cloud. And then in the end, you find out who this messenger is. It was whatever, but they kept expanding the script. And eventually... they came up with what they had now, but even then, that was still... They have a special edition version of the film. Well, not even a special edition, but they have a version of the film that came out a while after the complete edition, where they have 30 minutes extras worth of material.
Oh, come on.
30 minutes extra.
Of what?
And the thing is, the story doesn't really change all that much. It's just a matter of like adding more to the current scenes. But
oh, that sounds terrible.
Yeah, but this all was legit inspired by that Kingdom Hearts 1 secret ending, final mix.
I just want to know, at what point, why did Nomura think it was a good idea to bring in 3 brand new Sephiroth clones we've never seen before, and then give them like absolutely very little personality?
You see, so I want to go through the story really quickly. Cloud is living life as sort of boy. He sort of watched Kiki's delivery service, said, "Oh snap, that's probably a good idea." Did a delivery service that never comes into play the entire movie, by the way. You peeped that? Him and Tifa now start adopting orphans. That's
really weird. I know
it's weird, but Cloud is still battling inner demons for some reason or whatever. Out of nowhere, 3 people that all look like Sephiroth's nephews. Really, that's what they look like.
No, yeah, they really do look straight up.
Pull up out of nowhere, try to they keep literally asking everyone and their mother, "Where is mother?"
Yeah, that oh my god, that was so dumb. I don't understand why they kept using that line.
Where's mother?
Everywhere they went, it was just, "Where's mother? Where's mother?" And it's like, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to just say that. They just they went to Sector 5's church at one point and just went up to Tifa and said, "Where's mother?" How the fuck am I supposed to know?
Who's mother?
That's what I'm like, what the... It's so fucking dumb.
If I'm at church and some random dude comes up to me and says, "Where's mother?"
Oh no, we gotta go. We gotta go. We gotta dip.
And in Final Fantasy VII Advent Children, there's also a new condition called geostigma, where it's pretty much like the leftovers of Genova, like Genova cells. The Sephiroth's nephews kidnap every single kid that has geostigma.
Flawlessly, by the way. They rounded it up with such efficiency that it didn't make any sense. Oh, they all just got in the back of his truck and then went somewhere.
It literally said free candy.
Honestly, yo, that's all they did. And Like, the weirdest part was, to me, the weirdest thing was, like, they never really fully explained why they need so much geostigma. They just picked them up because they had geostigma. They never really explained what's the advantage of just collecting all these people.
I think that was pretty self-explanatory, though.
Because at the end, look what happened at the end. He morphed into Sephiroth by himself without the help of anybody.
Well, okay, wait. So the plan of the nephews was to bring back Sephiroth, who was like one step closer to bringing back Jenova. Yeah, reuniting with Jenova. And they wanted to collect all the Jenova cells out there.
Yeah.
So they collected the children to get those Jenova cells because Geostigma is Jenova cells. And they collected it, but what was missing?
My whole point is, once they quote unquote collected it, nothing came out of it. Literally nothing came out of it. They just collected them, chained them to a fountain or whatever that was in the middle of a Midgar city, and that was it. And then they used a summon to wreak havoc on the city looking for Jenova. That summon had nothing to do with what they collected. What was the point of collecting the kids? That did nothing. You see why I'm mad? It didn't go anywhere. Once they had the Jenova head, it's like, oh, well, now that we have the Jenova head, remember all the cells we were collecting? Well, I guess let's just forget that plan and move on. I was like, what? Where are you? What is your motive? Like, what?
You know what? I'm not gonna try to defend whatever. Sure, yeah.
It's just
I'm not going to try to defend Final Fantasy VII Advent Children. Anyway, so they kidnap the kids. The kids end up doing nothing really because they summon a giant monster.
Exactly.
In the city. Bahamut Sin. They summon this new version of Bahamut. Rufus is there. He's alive somehow.
For some reason.
President of Shinra
He really
is alive.
shouldn't be, but alright.
Yeah, he has the head of Jenova. That's all that's
doesn't
left.
Bring it up once, by the way. He just has it hiding. Like,
for the entire movie, up until he finally reveals that he has the Jenova head, and then he pulls out his cloak that he's been wearing to show off his fit. He's like, haha, Sephiroth's nephew, check out what I just bought at H&M.
Like, what?
I'm standing now. I don't need this wheelchair. He's like, guess what? Also, I have the head of Jenova. I don't know why
he just eats it. He eats it off the building.
Just for Sephiroth's nephew to collect it anyways.
No, and then, do you know what the worst part was, Josue? Okay. It's everyone who hasn't watched this movie. Follow this dumb logic here. He throws off the Jenova head. So then, Kadaj, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then Kadaj jumps off to pursue it. So then he also jumps off to pursue it. And then he pulls out a gun to try to destroy it. Why did you throw it off the building in the first place? You just made it so much more complicated. That made no fucking sense.
For the drama, bro. For the drama. Come on.
I hate Nomura.
Kadaj, Sephiroth's nephew, ends up getting the head. They drive over literally everywhere. They drove everywhere, but they essentially went back to Midgar, back to the slums of Midgar, where he finally transforms. This was a part where I literally just, I know I should have gave up a while back, but it was finally at this point where I was like, I'm done. I stopped writing notes.
I fell asleep. I legit fell asleep, bro.
I stopped writing notes completely because I just like, oh, okay, Sephiroth is back and fighting happens. Yeah, that's literally all that happens.
Do you know what just sucks? That Sephiroth is a really good villain. He's like known as like probably top 20 video game villains. He's up there. You know what just sucks? That you have that character and it brings no sense of excitement or hypeness when you bring him out in the movie. You know how bad you fucked up when that happens?
Yeah. Listen, these fight scenes look cool. I'm not denying that. They look great, but you need a story behind it for us to care about.
Yeah.
Because if you're just gonna give us fight scene after fight scene, then whatever. And to be fair, what's the craziest thing about this is that I didn't even care about my favorite fight in the movie wasn't Cloud versus Sephiroth. It was actually Tifa versus Sephiroth's nephew.
That was the only one that I feel like choreographically looked good.
Yeah, it was actually pretty cool. I can't lie. Like at first, it started off and I was like, meh. But then she like did this crazy thing against the wall of the church. Where she,
when she like stands like kind of sideways on the wall.
Oh yeah, I was like,
they made a poster of that scene actually. It's pretty dope.
Yeah, it's really dope. And not only that, but they played a piano version of the battle theme in the game. And I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. This is pretty cool. I can get along with this. But in the end, it just ended up being all fan service. It's all fan service.
That's it. Sephiroth was there for what, 5 minutes, and then he just dipped after like Cloud used the power of friendship to stop him.
No, he used Omnislash.
Yeah, but like that was the weirdest version of Omnislash I've seen, by the way. Like Omnislash has different versions. Don't get me wrong, that's fine. But that is the weirdest version of Omnislash I've ever seen. Cause like he never once broke his sword into 5 pieces for an Omnislash, and then floated in the air to do it. It's usually he uses one sword to fuck you up. Yeah. And then he does one last like big hit on you.
Yeah, it originated in Final Fantasy VII Advent Children, but it actually came back to the games afterwards. So
wait, Omnislash originated in the first game?
That version of Omnislash. So that version is called Omnislash version 5. It originated in yeah, I know. It originated in Advent Children, but they brought it back in the games, especially in Dissidia, as one of his like I guess finishing blows.
Finishing moves or whatever.
Yeah,
I don't like it, man. I don't like it. I honestly think the original was fine. They didn't have to do all that. But no, yeah, that like we're not really we're excluding a lot of stuff from the story because that's essentially the whole story. But the stuff we're excluding doesn't do anything, dude. Yeah. Like Reno and Rude were so pointless in this. I hate what they did to Reno and Rude in this movie.
They were actually my favorite characters in the entire movie.
No, dude, because my whole logic is. So, okay, this is kind of a gripe I have with the original Final Fantasy in general. Reno and Rude committed a lot of atrocities and killed a lot of people, and then they kind of got off scot-free in Final Fantasy VII, which is the problem I have with the game just initially.
That's the thing with Vegeta.
But it's a little different for me with Reno and Rude, for me at least, because Dragon Ball Z has its logic of we're going to help out the bad guys. I think Final Fantasy VII shouldn't have that logic. Besides the point, Reno and Rude massacred, a lot of people, and they got away with it, and that's fine, whatever, that's Final Fantasy VII. But then Advent Children's, make them like bubbly, happy, like jokesters, and they joke around with Cloud, and like they have terrible one-liners. It was so cringe. I just didn't like it at all.
No, they were actually my favorite characters, maybe because I felt like they were the only ones that had any actual personality in the entire film.
It was too much, in my opinion. Like, they made that giant summon, and they still didn't take it seriously. Are you kidding me? Like, it was just, considering that they're Turks, how are they not treating this seriously? That didn't make any sense. Like, that just was really dumb, in my opinion. Every involvement of Shinra in this movie was dumb. I didn't think Shinra should have been. If there's gonna be a sequel to Final Fantasy, I don't think you should have Shinra in it. Shinra is dead. Let it die. Yeah. You shouldn't have this shit. Like, this is dumb.
As I'm saying, I really enjoyed I really enjoyed Rude and Reno. It may be because I felt like they were the only people in this entire movie that had any personality. Because I felt like every main character in this movie had nothing, even Cloud, just brooding honestly, for Cloud.
Honestly, that's something I wrote down too. The party members were done so badly. Oh my god, Barrett, Tifa, Vincent, all of them were just shown so terribly. If you watch that movie, it made it seem like they weren't even that relevant in the first game. And Tifa's, I don't know if this is just a dub problem, but the voice actor for Tifa was terrible.
Oh yeah, I felt.
Oh my god, that was bad voice acting.
Okay, so my favorite scene in the entire movie, my favorite characters were Reno and Rude because I felt like they were actually given personality, and maybe the personalities are terrible. I don't know. I'm not gonna rewatch the movie to find that out.
But at least the fact they had personality.
Yeah, at the very least, they have some personality. And by the way, By the way, Rude is Dominican. You know that's a fact. He's Dominican. He's Dominican. He's the only Dominican character in Final Fantasy. Don't at me with that. He's Dominican.
He does kind of look Dominican, though.
He is no. He doesn't kinda. He is Dominican. He is Dominican. Anyways, I needed to say that.
Before I continue, by the way, the voice actor for Rude and Final 7 remake, I fucking love him. But continue.
Yeah, he's probably Dominican too. Anyway.
I hate you.
Anyways, my favorite scene in the entire movie was Bahamut Sin versus the entire party of Final Fantasy VII. And I understand I say that because with knowing that scene was just for fan service, like that was completely a fan service scene. But
no, yeah, 100%.
Like this movie was not good. And if you're gonna have if you're gonna have a battle in this movie, I'd rather it be with everyone versus a giant monster versus just Cloud and a nephew of Sephiroth. So give me that at least. So my favorite scene in the entire movie was just that one scene where it was just like all of them fighting on a construction site against. I was like, they were all trying to propel Cloud higher and higher to defeat the monster. I thought that was pretty cool. I actually liked that entire sequence. I'm not
gonna say I loved it, but it definitely was a decent scene.
Yeah, I just the only thing that I didn't like, as I'm saying, it's a fan service scene, so there was no build up whatsoever to those characters coming back. If you never played Final Fantasy VII, well, then you're gonna see this movie and be like, "Who the hell are these guys?" Granted, I don't think you should watch Advent Children without ever having played Final Fantasy.
But still, it just downplays everything about them, which is like what I was saying. Like the movie makes it seem like the party members are kind of irrelevant to the original story.
Yeah,
Barrett had nothing, man. He had nothing going for him in this movie.
He had cornrows.
That outfit was terrible.
Oh, he had the worst.
Looked terrible in that. Oh my god.
Oh god, I'm not sure how long it's been since we played Kingdom Hearts 2, but Kingdom Hearts 2 has amazing voice acting for the most part. It always has. Kingdom Hearts has had some amazing voice acting, but Kingdom Hearts 2 is notorious for the voice acting of Aerith. Aerith had terrible voice acting in Kingdom Hearts 2. Terrible. And as soon as
I actually remember being kind of stiff.
It was extremely stiff. It was like she had zero emotion. She just was talking after not sleeping for 3 days straight. She's like, "Yeah, Cloud, you should just stop it, right? Like, it's just Shinra. So come on.
It's just Shinra, man.
It's just Shinra, man. It's just Sephiroth. What's Sephiroth doing to
just
do?
Fucking smoked."
Yeah, but then I heard Aerith's voice in this movie, and I noticed it. I'm like, wait, why does that sound like? I looked into it. Same voice actors. It's the same voice actress for Aerith. Yup. Just like how it's the same voice actor for Cloud in Kingdom Hearts and in Final Fantasy Advent Children, because Kingdom Hearts was actually the first time many of these Final Fantasy characters had voice actors. Yeah. So they just reused those same voices for Advent Children. But God, that voice actress for Aerith is just
not it.
Thankfully, she barely had any lines. But wow, I noticed.
Speaking of Aerith, did you enjoy her role in this?
I didn't understand her role.
Thank you. I feel like they just made her death seem so hard to understand now, and so much harder to process, because it's like she's not gone, but she is gone, but she's not gone, but she is gone, and it's just like I don't understand what you're doing with this character's aftermath now. It kind of just, in my opinion, ruins the legacy she left behind. I liked how Final Fantasy handled her death. It was the end of it. That was it. And then now with this one, it's like, it's complicated in the fact that like she's connected to everyone somehow, and she has healing powers that heal geostigma. I didn't like that at all, and I also didn't like how they brought in Zack as if like his death was relevant to the plot of this. Like at the end of the movie, you see Aerith and Zack heading out the church. I understand that Cloud gets closure on Aerith. Like, you know what? It wasn't my fault she died. I've accepted that, she will always be a part of my memories, and I need to move on because I have these friends here. But to have Zach at the end, I was like, yo, what does Zach have to do with any of this stuff, man? Are you kidding me? Don't put this like he just got closure on Zach. None of this was closure for Zach at all.
So I kind of agree, but kind of don't. I kind of feel like he was still sort of battling with the fact that that the memories that he had in Final Fantasy VII weren't his. Especially because in the beginning of the movie, he does mention that too. Like they were like, Rufus was talking to him. He was like, "Hey, well, you're a soldier, ex-soldier, but you're still whatever." And then he's like, "Yeah, but my memories weren't like I was never a soldier. It was
no, yeah, I get that. He said memories of an ex-soldier. He said that a lot. Like he's memories of another person. Yeah,
right.
But at the same time, my logic is nothing in this movie brought closure to that. I understand he's still struggling with the fact that he was never Cloud, the Cloud that he thought he was. He's this different Cloud, and he thought he was Zack. But nothing in this movie gives you closure for Zack. So why are you guys acting like he just got closure with Zack? Nothing in this movie had anything to do with fucking Zack. That made no fucking sense to me. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me with this bullshit? I'm sorry. I really, really, really hate this movie. I think Geostigma and the 3 Sephiroth nephews, like, whole side of the plotline was stupid and contrived. I think Cloud involving his personal struggles was, like, forced and disconnected from the problem. Reno and Rude seem so misrepresented. Shinra's involvement and, like, their goal came off as vague and pointless. Like, Rufus shouldn't have been anywhere near this. They tried tying in Aerith and Zack's death into everything with, like, little effort and real impact. And, like, the thing that pissed me off the most is, like, rather finding out that his depression comes from, like, past failures subconsciously, we instead have to watch, like Cloud awkwardly, like, bemoan failures in the way it doesn't make any sense to the plot that's going on. Like, I'm sorry, but I hate this movie. I hate it.
I don't like the movie either. I don't like the movie at all. I think I like it more than you do, though.
I hate this thing, man. It's because I've grown to really love the story of Final Fantasy VII now that I'm playing the remake. And, like, I'm really loving the story more and more, and I really do think it's, it's got its holes, don't get me wrong, it's not perfect, but I really do like the story, and I've come to love the character of Cloud more and more. And I feel like Ivan Choden just straight up said, fuck you guys. We're gonna shit on your story and call it a sequel.
I think the best way to have handled a sequel to Final Fantasy VII, I really enjoyed, not really enjoyed, but I really was interested seeing how Cloud wasn't forgiving himself for Aerith's death. And I think that could have been a story told in and of itself.
No, yeah, totally.
The thing is, though, I didn't need... Don't force Sephiroth back. Don't force any of this.
Thank you. Like, you could have handled the closure of Aerith in a completely different way.
Yeah, this could have been. It's saddening to know that this was originally a 20-minute story, because I think a 20-minute story would have been perfect. But we see Cloud by himself trying to figure out life, trying to figure out atone for his sin, just to realize that sin was never his to atone for in the first place. But a quick and small story would have been really great. Don't bring back things that needed to be brought back. It wasn't needed. It really wasn't. Don't introduce new characters. Don't bring back characters that Rufus, I thought he died. Why is he still alive?
Thank you, right?
Don't bring
also,
him
like,
back.
where did the Sephiroth clones even come from? Like, did we get a hint at where that... Were they in the crater? Like, did they just find them there? Where'd they come from?
They just came out of nowhere.
Where they legit come from? The last 2 years, y'all just been in hiding? And then coincidentally, when Reno calls Cloud, they all of a sudden attack Cloud and then attack, like, the guys. It's just... It's dumb. It's really fucking dumb. I couldn't stand this thing. If you really want to hear my honest rating out of 10, I gave it a 2. I gave it a fucking 2. And the 2 is not for anything in the writing, anything in the direction, the characters, none of that. The 2 is solely just because I know the people who worked on this visually did a great job. And that's it. For 2005, this is a very good looking movie. And that's where the 2 comes from. If this movie looked like shit, it would have been a 0 for me.
There was this one in my notes I wrote down in the very beginning of the movie. I was like, this is so 2005 and it hurts. There were so many fast cuts. There were so many moments where it just it sped up, but then there were also other moments where it slowed down. And that's such a 2000s filming technique that needs to
I know
be
exactly
left.
what you're talking about.
It needs to be left in the 2000s, and they brought that a lot in this movie. And every single time it happened, I hated it. The only time I could possibly think of that was actually utilized well was in the Tifa versus Sephiroth's nephew fight. I was actually really into that. But besides that, I was like, this needs to stop. This is so 2005. It hurts. Maybe under different circumstances, maybe I would have enjoyed it. Maybe it was. I'll also give it that maybe it was my DVD copy. I'm watching it on a DVD. I didn't watch it on a Blu-ray where it could have been a higher definition, or if I watched it online somewhere that just has like a better resolution. I watched it on a DVD. That may have been a possibility. That may be a reason why. But besides that, there were just so many scenes that I was like, ugh. Come on, you're a movie.
For me, 2005, I think it's fine, especially considering the original content. So I couldn't see myself shitting on the visuals team, which is why I gave it a 2. I think the 2 straight comes from that. Everything else, in my opinion, was a failure on every other team's part. So that's why I stand on the 2 out of 10.
No, I gotta give
what's your rating?
I gotta give it at least probably a 4 or a 5. The reasons why are
what?
You commented on how good the choreography was in the fighting, and I gotta give it that.
On one fight.
No, I think
one fight.
I think I gotta give the choreography for the Party versus Bahamut some love. I gotta give the Sephiroth versus Cloud choreography. It was. I didn't like the fight because it had no purpose really. There was no emotion behind it. But the choreography itself was actually pretty cool and should have been used for something better. And that Tifa versus Sephiroth's nephew fight was pretty good. I don't know. I don't hate the film, but it could have been so much better.
I'm surprised you might actually give it a 5.
If I'm gonna dabble between a 4 and a 5, I'm gonna give it like a 4.5.
That's wild to me.
Yeah,
I can't justify giving this higher than a 2. I really think this is a terrible movie. Like I really do think Square Enix should be ashamed they made this.
Out of all the video game movies that we watched, I'm not gonna say that this is the best one, nowhere near. But there are definitely some video game movies that we watched that were worse than this, in my opinion. That I'd rather watch this over those.
I'm frankly just the most disappointed in this one out of any of them. The biggest disappointment has to be this one for me. Just because this is a lore that I enjoy. So to have the lore that I enjoy be shat on and just completely destroyed in the form of a sequel just fucking sucks. Like the Assassin's Creed movie, it's not that great, but I definitely like the Final Fantasy VII lore a little bit more than Assassin's Creed, so it's more disappointing to me that Final Fantasy Advent Children sucks dick. I'm sorry, I really did not like this movie, man. I really felt like I wasted 2 hours watching this shit this morning.
Different opinions. I don't think I wasted it, but I could have definitely watched a better movie. But in my head, I'd rather just sort of pretend that Advent Children isn't part of the actual canon. I know it is. I know I'm not a fan of the story. It could have been a lot better. I love Tetsuya Nomura, but he could have definitely done better.
He fucked up.
Yeah, there were. I don't know. There, at the very least, the reason why I can't really go that low is that there's reasons why the fan base likes this movie to some degree. And
because when you play the original and you go from original to this, it's pretty impressive.
But still, that's still something in itself.
Nah, fuck that. That's not it for me.
I don't like the film, but it could be so much better. But that's it. I don't know. I have nothing else to say about this movie. Nothing else.
They should do an Advent Children remake.
If it's the same story, I don't want to watch it.
No, it won't be. It'll be like Final Fantasy remake where they change stuff. All right, guys. Well, thanks again for listening to the Panic Brothers podcast or watching the YouTube video, whatever platform you're watching, listening to this on. Please leave a comment, like, rate, subscribe, And leave a comment. Tell us what you think about having children. Do you actually like it a lot, or do you hate it like I do? Because I think it's trash. And until then, take care, and we'll see you later.
Peace.